Hello everyone, this is Igor from Vinus River Wine Merchant. First of all, Happy New Year to everyone. And second of all, let's get to these fun January wine club selections. Italy dominates the wine club. They have a lot of fun local varieties. So let's start with Adventurous Club and the white wines. Both white wines are Italian. So the first one is from Terenzuola. So the Giuliani family, I wonder if they're related to Rudy Giuliani. So they moved to New York in late 1800s and made a success of themselves. Then during the Great Depression, they decided to move back to Italy. They bought a little farm in an area kind of in between in Liguria. So it's a little north of Tuscany, right between the Apennines and the Sea of Liguria. So it's a beautiful place. Colli di Luni, the sub-region, is right on the Italian Riviera, and they make Vermentino, the great grape of that area. So Vermentino is grown in mostly two areas. There's one in Sardinia, and then in Tuscany and Liguria. But you don't get too many examples of this grape from Liguria. I could only think of maybe one or two producers that I've seen in distribution. So I'm definitely excited to have this wine. It's definitely influenced by the sea. It's definitely influenced by the mountains, so it's very refreshing, mineral wine, full of acidity, very beautiful wine. So this is Vermentino from Liguria. That's the if you're in the white wine club, you'll get this wine. The other white wine that will be in the white wine club and in the mixed selection is Suavius Suave. So Suave is actually a name, a pre-modern name for Suave region. It's actually based on the Germanic people who used to live in the area right after the collapse of the Western Roman Empire. So the grape is called Garganega, and it grows in the Suave region in Veneto, relatively close to Venice, right in the classic area, on the volcanic soils. So this is a beautiful wine, full of structure and elegance. A lot of minerality, because volcanic soils kind of gives minerality to the wines. And it's a great example of this kind of relatively known area, Suave. So it's the most famous wine from white wine from the Veneto region. And I think you guys will enjoy this wine if you never had it before. If you have, this is a great example of the Garganega grape. All right, then the first red, which is also going to be the mixed wine club selections, is from a really nice producer, Claude Dumont Olivet. So it's a producer known to make Chardonnay de Pops, but they're actually located in Lirac. So Lirac is one of the satellite states right to the west of Chardonnay de Pops. So Chardonnay de Pops is the most famous area in southeast France. They produce Grenache Syrah-based blends. Lirac makes the same blend. The village is just not as famous as Chardonnay de Pops, but this producer makes great examples of this. And once again, this is a wine full of beautiful aromatics, and it's based more on elegance rather than power. Sometimes wines from the southeast France, the area is hot, so they ripen easily, they become big alcoholic wines. But this producer actually tried to keep the alcohol down, and like I said, it's more about elegance, very aromatic wine, and it's full of that classic garrigue / forest floor character that Chardonnay de Pops is famous for, and actually a lot of the Rome blends are famous. So a really great example of that southeast France classic wine, Grenache Syrah based blends. All right, and then the final wine, it's also a Grenache based wine, and this one comes from Spain, from the Priorat region. So Celler Unio, it's a co-op, and they've been in existence since 1942. But the Romans have been making wine in this area for over 2,000 years. So Priorat in the eastern Spain, right outside of Barcelona, is the most famous area in Spain for Grenache wines. And it makes big example of these wines. So this is rich, intense, beautiful wine. So it's like great, full-bodied wine. People who know Priorat, that's what they appreciate about these wines, these big wines. If you like big wines, this is a wine for you. So a great example, you have a Grenache Syrah blend and a full 100% Grenache from Spain, where it makes big, rich wines. All right, so this is the wines from the Adventurous Club. A lot of fun wines in here, and more fun wines in the High Society Club. We have a sort of classic example and a completely unusual example. So let's go with the classic. This is from Musso family, and this is Barbaresco. So Barbaresco is both an appellation and it's actually a village within the appellation. So Barbaresco makes Nebbiolo grape, one of the great grapes from northwest Italy. It resides within the Piedmont region. And within Barbaresco, there's three kind of famous villages. There's the actual village of Barbaresco, Novello, and Treso. And within the villages, there are some sites that are called premier cru sites, where they make Novello wines that are typically greater than just any random area that grows Nebbiolo grapes. So a lot of these cru sites within the village of Barbaresco make kind of different expression of the same Nebbiolo grape. And this comes from Rio Sordo. So a lot of the sites have limestone, but what Rio Sordo kind of distinguished is that it has a little bit less calcium than other sites. So it doesn't have these big Nebbiolo tannins. In fact, the wine is typically silkier, a little more aromatic. So it's got like great structure, because Nebbiolo grapes, they're kind of full of that. But it's silkier, it's easier to drink, younger than some maybe other examples of the Barbaresco grapes. So that's the fun part about it. And Rio Sordo, you actually don't see that many wines in distribution from that particular site. So it's a great cru site, and this is a great example of it. And this comes from the 2019 vintage. So a lot of people think the 2016 vintage is the greatest vintage this century for Italian wines, and 2019 is the best vintage since then. So I think it's a really cool example to get this classic, Barbaresco / Nebbiolo grape from a great vintage. I think you guys will enjoy this wine. And finally, from Giuseppe Calabrese. This is a wine from Calabria. The winemaker, he grows kind of these bush strain old vines in the Polino Mountains in northern Calabria. So this area, Enochians were in this area 500 years before the Trojan War. So they've been making wine in this area a long time ago, but now it's kind of deserted land. And this is based on the Malioca grape. And Malioca is one of these, what seems like endless treasures from Italy. I never heard of the grape before this example, and this is just, amazing wine. It's a wine that's like smoky and elegant and moody. And the other thing is it's got a great full body, but it's only 12.5% alcohol. So I think it's an unbelievable discovery. If you guys are not in the club, I would suggest, if you guys are curious, to check out this wine. In my pecking order of the wines I have in the clubs today, this would be on top of the list. But all these wines are fun. Check out more about them below in the description. Go to the product pages, kind of read more about it, all the critic reviews, more details that are about them. And I think you'll enjoy a lot of these wines if you want to try them. Alright guys, that's an overview for Genuine Wine Club selection. Thank you, and I'll see you soon.